Hi, welcome to my channel, guys. Good to be back. So, one thing that y'all might figure out about me sooner or later is that I am a very visual person when it comes to film. Like, I like when a movie has, stunning cinematography, lighting, but I also like when a movie has a cool use of, color in it. So I thought for this video I would talk about that and share some examples and whatnot. Now before I start sharing my personal favorite examples, a while back I asked the Letterboxd subreddit for what movies they thought used color in an interesting, unique, fun way. Got a lot of examples from that, so I'll be linking that list down below in the description. If you want to look through that, I haven't seen all the movies in that list. I'm picking and choosing a few of my personal favorites. If I went through all the movies I thought used color in a cool way, we would probably be here all day. And, I don't think that a movie, like movies have style and substance to them. Sometimes we can, look visually pleasing and not be great story-wise or in the writing department or any of the other aspects. A lot of these films are films that I enjoy for the most part, even outside of how they look. They just happen to look really great. And I even think that films that intentionally use black and white, La Haine and I recently watched A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, has this really good use of black and white palettes to them and use of lighting and contrast. So even the lack of color in a film, I think, can be interesting with how it's used. A lot of the good films that use color, famous example is the Wizard of Oz. One of the most famous examples of Technicolor being used in a film. I think it's still, people might say, oh, it's poorly aged, but it's so well. I still think it holds up well to this day. It's looks pretty good. And 1948's The Red Shoes, also stunning Technicolor in that movie. So the first movie I'll be talking about is Dario Argento's 1977 horror classic Suspiria. This is one of my favorite horror movies, and a big part of it is how it uses color, the blues, the reds, the greens, when there's scenes lit entirely in those colors. It's beautiful. It gives off this sort of surreal, dreamlike feeling, matches the vibes of the movie. It's a twisted fairy tale of sorts, and it's just beautiful to look at. I feel like I could just turn on this movie just to watch it for that, and also for the incredible soundtrack that I got. This movie is a sensory delight to look at it. I also think that Argento's spiritual successor to Suspiria, Inferno, which is a bit more underrated, also has a pretty good use of color. I think you see some blues and reds used in cool ways, but I think Suspiria has had the most best use of color, maybe, to me, in a horror movie, personally. The second movie I want to give some attention to is Wes Anderson's The Grand Budapest Hotel. His films, I think, had this very distinctive visible style, very symmetrical, and this one also has that, and also I think really good use of color with the pastel pinks, especially of the titular hotel's exterior, the reds in some parts. Very, very nice film to look at. I also want to mention Wim Wenders' Paris, Texas, which is watched it for the first time this year. Very beautiful looking film. Great colors, and it's like, I love the use of greens in it. Really, I think, suits the vibe of the whole film. Alright, and a few other mentions I have before I get to the second part of this video are But I'm a Cheerleader, Blade Runner 2049, In the Mood for Love, Perfect Blue, and like I said, I have a whole other letterboxd list of examples people gave me. So, check that out. Might be interesting. So I think people, a lot of the times nowadays, say that like movies have become more like dull and stuff, and their color palette's more washed out. People talk a lot about like how scenes that take place at night, you can barely see them because they're so dark and stuff, while older film and TV and stuff would use creative lighting choices so you could see what's going, see the action even in scenes that take place at night, stuff like that. I think, yeah, there might be some truth to that some more like modern blockbuster films and stuff like might have a more washed out dull color palette, but there have been some pretty good modern examples of films that use color in a pretty cool way. Recent examples I think of can include Across the Spider-Verse, one of my favorite animated films of the decade, probably. Looks great. The, in my opinion, underrated and should hopefully rise to cult status soon like Jennifer's Body did, Lisa Frankenstein, has this very like fun neon sort color palette. And while I didn't care for the movie itself entirely, I think that the use of like colors in Lisa Frankenstein, the bright, unnatural colors that's up sometimes in It's What's Inside, were pretty cool to look at too. Interestingly enough, two of my favorite films from last year use color in a pretty interesting way. The first one is James Scoenrun's, I did not pronounce that right probably, I Saw the TV Glow, which has these very like surreal, beautiful, unnatural looking colors at points, like these bright pinks and blues and greens. It's a very visually pleasing film. Also a bit of color symbolism in there because the colors that are used on the film, pink, blue, white, and stuff, are the colors of the trans flag. And the movie has heavy like trans allegory that I might even consider to like be the main focal theme of that film, so that's pretty cool. Especially love when a movie like has color symbolism, a recurring color that means something in the movie. Like an optic, like I watched recently, Don't Look Now, which has the color red pop up a lot in scenes where the characters are in danger, most exemplified by the red coat a little girl wears at the beginning of the film, in the opening, which kickstarts off the tragedy that the film is based around. And then also thinking about the use of blue in Mulholland Drive with the blue key, the blue box, and the blue lighting in the Club Silencio scene. So that's pretty cool, I think. Second movie that I think from last year was The Substance. Takes a lot of visual nods from other films that use color well, like The Bathroom, which is a reference to The Shining. Another film I think uses color in a pretty cool way. And I love like the color in like the costumes of The Substance, the bright pink leotard that Sue wears, the yellow coat Elizabeth wears that just stands out very well in that. But yeah, it's just so cool to see films that are like bright and vibrant and fun looking these days. And I don't think they've really gone away yet or will go away yet, because as long as there's people out there making creative films, I think that we can have some fun with it. So I know this was like a probably shorter video than what I usually do. I'm just going to upload something here real quick where I talk a little bit before I go into like my longer form videos. I was thinking maybe in the future, since you know, we're more than halfway through the year, I could do like my top films I've seen for the first time this year. Might split it up between like horror and non-horror films. So watch out for that. I will see you around.